Lamar Jackson is gonna go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Yet 31 players got drafted before him in 2017, despite winning the Heisman and having an all-time college career at Louisville. What the hell did scouts miss? This is an all-time talent. How did he slide this much? How did every single team miss on a two-time MVP, one of the most electric quarterbacks, hell, players in NFL history? Today we'll dive into Lamar's final college season to find out what NFL teams saw and missed. But before we do, I want to thank this week's sponsor, SeatGeek. The NFL schedule just dropped, and this is big. I rushed to SeatGeek right away. They're the best app for anything, but especially football. And with me living in Chicago, my buddies in New York, I might hit somewhere in Minnesota, Atlanta, SeatGeek is the app to use because it's the easiest with the best deals. I prefer them because their app rates each individual deal for each one of the 272 regular season games. A green dot means it's a good deal, a red dot, nah. So no matter when the event is I'm going to, I find a green dot and it's as easy as that. Every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee, the app is crazy easy to use, and even better, you can get 10% off your next order of tickets with code Rollins10. That's 10% off your next set of tickets with code Rollins10. What made Lamar such a difficult evaluation was his inconsistent accuracy. He never topped a 60 completion percentage in his 3 years at Louisville, and he would consistently miss wide open throws more than any other first round prospect I've ever studied in my 6 years doing this. Of course, straight up regular old completion percentage is far from a perfect stat, but the rest of his statistical profile didn't have any hidden gems that showed what he actually would become, and to be honest, neither did his film, at least on the whole. Obviously, his ability to run was unfathomable, his quickness, movement, speed, unreal. But how many running quarterbacks had we seen in college football that were awesome runners, but couldn't make it in the league as passers? He was really the ultimate glass half full player, where instead of saying, this guy can't consistently complete passes, how is he ever gonna play NFL quarterback? You had to say, the running is unreal, and look at the tools he does have as a passer that we could develop over time. One of those tools was his true desire to stay in the pocket and work through multiple reads, when he easily could have taken off and gained 30 yards every play. That, paired with his strongest passing attribute, which was throwing through zone windows through the second level, made you say, okay, there is something to this guy. Wake Forest is disguising this funky man over here, zone quarters over here coverage. Since Louisville is running this dagger concept with 3 receivers to the bottom, watch how the Mike linebacker has to carry the most inside receiver vertical, the 3 receiver, because there aren't enough guys deep to take all 3 if they go vertical. So when Lamar sees him and the safety take off, he has this tiny window over the middle and makes a perfect throw. Watch how he's sitting in the pocket, isn't rattled by pressure, steps up, and drives the ball in between the defenders. Money. And then, just a few plays later, on what's a very similar concept, Wake Forest plays a slightly different coverage to fool him, but he still throws through the right window and makes him pay. Louisville also ran this dagger choice concept, where they'd still run the 3 receiver vertical to clear out the coverage, but if the dagger receiver saw zone defenders over the middle, he had the option to stop. When Lamar sees the linebacker isn't following the clear out receiver, he anticipates his guy is going to stop on the choice route and makes another great tight window throw. A key area that scouts missed on. While Lamar did have horrible accuracy at times, you could tell he understood the game, and there's a difference. Lamar understood where his guys were, where the defense was, where throws needed to be, even if he wasn't making them consistently. For example, he was awesome at replacing blitzers, meaning when a defense blitzes a defender, they try to have another fill his spot, but there's always at least a little window, and Lamar would always find it, even if at times he'd miss. Here, Purdue blitzes the Mike up the middle and replaces him with the Sam and Will, so Lamar sees that and simply throws it right up the seam. Then later in the game, they blitz the same defender and do a better job replacing the seam by rotating the safety down, and let me tell you, a lot of college quarterbacks are told where to throw, but Lamar understands that the seam is taken away, And instead of running, like I'm sure he had in Pee-wee, grade school, high school, he resets and throws a seed that could have been caught up the opposite hash. You can just see that there's a real quarterback here, but one that needs to be developed. His eyes turn back to the right before his feet are set, so it creates a lot of extra movement that leads to a rush throw, explains the ball coming out higher than he wanted, also gets smacked right when throwing. But these examples show Lamar understands the game mentally, just at the moment didn't have the accuracy to make all the throws necessary yet. If you really studied the film, you could see that processing. If you went play by play, you could see what's here. Lamar knew what he was doing mentally. With this empty formation, he has to figure out who's most likely to blitz. He has 5 blockers, and Purdue is the standard 4-down lineman, so if somebody comes, we have to make sure we get 5 for 5. Is it more likely the closer linebacker is coming, with the safety creeping down to replace him, or the further backer who is the safety off? So Lamar audibles, slides 4 to the left to pick up what does end up being a blitz, and again replaces the blitzer with a throw to dice him up. The difference between understanding the game and accuracy is the main distinction I kept coming back to when trying to figure out why so many missed on Lamar. I believe if you can see that processing happening, that's what you need to jump on. FSU is starting with 2 high safeties, but rotate down into what ends up being cover 3 zone. Against cover 2, like they're showing, Lamar is going to work the curl to the check down to high-low the middle linebacker. But when they rotate into cover 3, the weakness of cover 3 zone is the seams. Since we have 2 deep cornerbacks out here, the safety has to basically cover both seams. Impossible. So when Lamar sees a safety rotation, one coming down, the other busting his ass to get to the middle, his mind quick flips to cover 3 beaters, let's throw the seam away from the rotation. But watch how even in that, he throws it back shoulder to make sure his seam runner doesn't get decapitated by the safety. Lamar understands the game. If we're looking at pure ceiling potential, he checked all the boxes. He could hit this deep out route from the opposite hash, arm strength, check. He was a good mental processor as we've seen, he could sit in the pocket. And then of course, outside of the pocket, he was unbelievable. Nobody in the NFL had ever done what we're seeing here. But if we look at pure floor, it was absolute bust, never ever even taking a snap in the league. Lamar's accuracy was shockingly bad. Dirted throw after dirted throw. Yes, he might have understood the game, but his arm was far from matching what his mind was seeing. And if I'm a scout, I would be terrified. He completed just 30.4% of his deep passes. That was 103rd in the nation. If I'm an NFL GM, how do I know that if I trot him out as my starting quarterback, he can even complete back-to-back passes? This is where fit and landing spot make all the difference in the world. I found an awesome athletic article by Dan Pompei detailing how Lamar became Lamar 2017 through 2019. The Ravens had to teach him everything from hand placement under center to his cadence, his footwork, and his first few months of practices were awful. They had Joe Flacco, the polar opposite of Lamar at quarterback, so they needed to completely overhaul their offense mid-season 2018 when Flacco got hurt. Do you know how many organizations would epically fall flat on their faces if they tried to install 2 offenses at once? Lamar's success is a testament obviously to his talent, but also the Ravens organization as a whole being able to instill a plan, develop a player over multiple years, and see that plan through. Hell, Lamar completed just 58% of his passes his rookie year, and 48% of his passes in a playoff game that season. Projecting a quarterback before we know what team they're on is so difficult, because we have no idea what the plan is for that guy, if the team will stick with it. Heck, if the GM and coach will even be there in the guy's second year. I turned on his film thinking I'd see what was blatantly obvious. Lamar would be an all-time quarterback in due time, but the flaws were alarming to where I think his slide in the first round was warranted. 32 still seems ridiculous, but this was a prospect, not the player he is today, but as a prospect, he was not a top 10, top 15 quality prospect. But this is the beauty of football. The right player, the right plan, the right development, the right organization. With all those pieces coming together, Lamar Jackson has become one of the best NFL players of all time.